I mean, it's always the case that you can look back and see development mistakes that you made. Like, oh, when I was working on the engine, I spent a month doing this particular thing and we didn't really need it and we took it out, right? And there's a few things like that. The art, concept art process that we did in the beginning was not really the right process, and we figured that out later. So I think we could, like, just by fixing process things, we probably could have removed a year from that, at least, maybe a year and a half. But I mean, that's sort of cheating, right? Because taking that year and a half is how we figured out the right process things. You could say the same about the game design. Like, if I knew exactly what the game was going to be in the end, we could take a bunch of that time off, right? But we were figuring out what the game was. If I knew exactly what the puzzles were going to be, I wouldn't have to design them. I could just type them in and it would be really fast, right? And so, I don't know. I would like to have made that game faster, but it's also the best game that I've ever worked on. And so, I don't feel it would have been as good if we rushed it. And actually originally, after Braid shipped, I got this idea to do this game. And I said, well, maybe we can do it in about 18 months, maybe 24 if we slip the schedule, so 2 years. But originally, the idea was much smaller. It was going to be a much, much smaller game. It was going to be, Braid is like 4 or 5 hours, and this was going to be maybe like a 12-hour game or something. And the final game that we shipped, depending on, how fast you solve puzzles, is like between 45 and 120 hours. So if you take the average of that, the middle of that is like 80. So that's like 5 times as big, at least, of a game as I had originally been thinking that we would make. And so we didn't take 5 times as long, quite. Yeah, we didn't take 5 times as long. So that's good. And that's good, yeah. And the graphics were way nicer. And, I thought it was going to be an ugly indie game with like programmer art. And fortunately, we had enough budget to hire people and they made the game look really good. So, yeah.